So, when someone says weekend trip in Europe, Moldova probably isn't the first country that comes to mind. Honestly, it wasn't ours either. Most travelers head to Romania, Greece, or Italy, while Moldova somehow stays under the radar. But that's exactly why we wanted to come here. We had just one weekend to find out whether Europe's least visited country is actually worth your time. And spoiler alert, we were definitely not expecting some of the things we found. The first thing that surprised us was how relaxed everything felt. No crowds of tourists, no endless souvenir shops trying to sell magnets every 5 meters. Instead, we arrived in Chisinau, the capital of Moldova, where life just goes at its own pace. If you're planning the same trip, getting around is actually pretty easy. Public transport is cheap, taxis through apps are affordable, and because the country isn't very big, even longer trips don't take forever. We arrived in Chisinau late in the afternoon, and our first impression was exactly what we expected. Wide boulevards, Soviet apartment blocks, and monumental buildings that immediately reminded us of the country's Soviet past. But Moldova is a fascinating mix of influences. Located between Romania and Ukraine, it has been shaped by both East and West. Romanian is the official language, while Russian is still widely spoken, especially by older generations, reflecting the country's complex history. What we didn't expect was just how green the city is. Chisinau is full of parks, tree-lined streets, and cozy cafes serving excellent coffee. Some of the parks even have natural springs, where locals come to fill bottles with fresh drinking water, and at a few springs, people even take cold water baths all year round. For our first dinner, we went to Mangal, and it was the perfect introduction to Moldovan hospitality. The restaurant had live music, great service, a lovely atmosphere, and very reasonable prices. The food was absolutely delicious, fresh, hearty, and full of flavor. Moldovan cuisine is something the country is genuinely proud of, blending Romanian, Balkan, and Eastern European influences into simple but incredibly tasty dishes. I'd definitely say that if there's one thing Moldovans are even prouder of than their food, it's their wine. Winemaking has been part of life here for thousands of years, and with the country's mild climate and fertile soil, it's no surprise that vineyards are everywhere. In fact, Moldova has one of the highest vineyard densities in the world, and wine plays a huge role in its culture, economy, and traditions. The country is home to more than 100 wineries, but if you only have time for one, make it Milesti Mici. It's located about 20 kilometers south of Chisinau, so it's an easy 30-minute drive from the city. And trust us, this place is on a completely different level. Milesti Mici holds the Guinness World Record for the largest wine collection in the world. Hidden beneath the ground is an incredible network of more than 200 kilometers of limestone tunnels, with around 55 kilometers currently used to store millions of bottles of wine. The underground streets even have names like Cabernet, Chardonnay, and Pinot, and because the tunnels are so huge, you actually drive through them by car or hop on a little electric train. One of the coolest parts is the Golden Collection, where you'll find rare vintage wines alongside private collections owned by collectors and even world leaders. It's basically a giant underground wine city. There are several tour options depending on your budget. If you just want to see the tunnels, the basic guided tour starts at around 200 Moldovan lei, while tasting packages with local food and several wines cost more. Tours are available in English, Romanian, and Russian, but it's a good idea to book in advance, especially during weekends. But don't rush off once the underground tour is over. The winery above ground is beautiful too, with vineyards, traditional stone buildings, gardens, and plenty of spots to relax. There's also a cozy wine bar where you can enjoy another glass of local wine for just around €1, which is probably one of the best value wine tastings you'll ever find. It's the perfect place to sit back, soak up the atmosphere, and toast to an amazing weekend in Moldova. A few quick tips before you visit. The oldest wine in Milesti Mici's famous Golden Collection dates back to 1968, while the wines you can buy in the shop range from around 4 to 5 euros for everyday bottles to over 100 euros for premium vintages. They produce everything from red, white, and rosé to sparkling and dessert wines. There are several tour options. The basic one takes you through the underground tunnels, while the more popular packages include wine tastings, and some even come with a traditional Moldovan meal. Whichever tour you choose, you'll also receive a complimentary bottle of wine to take home. A pretty nice souvenir if you ask us. After all that wine, it was time to head back to Chisinau and actually explore the city. The capital isn't packed with world-famous landmarks, but that's kind of the charm. It's easy to explore on foot, and around almost every corner, you'll find another interesting piece of Moldova's history. If you want to learn more about the country, the National History Museum is a great place to start. It takes you through everything from ancient civilizations and medieval Moldova to the Soviet era and independence. Literature lovers might enjoy the Pushkin House Museum, where the famous Russian poet Alexander Pushkin lived during his exile in Chisinau in the early 1800s. The city's most iconic landmark is the Cathedral of Christ's Nativity, located right in the center next to the Triumphal Arch. It's a peaceful place and a great spot to take a break from the busy streets. Another beautiful church worth visiting is St. Theodora of Sila Church, known for its elegant architecture. Just a short walk away is Stephen the Great Central Park, the oldest park in the city. Right at the entrance stands the monument of Stephen the Great, Moldova's national hero and one of the country's most important medieval rulers. You'll quickly notice that his name is everywhere, from parks and streets to wine labels. And if you really want to experience local life, don't miss the Central Market. It's busy, colorful, and full of fresh fruit, vegetables, homemade cheeses, spices, pickles, and local sweets. Even if you don't buy anything, it's a fun place to wander around and soak up the atmosphere. When hunger strikes, one place you'll see all over Moldova is La Placinta. It's a popular restaurant chain serving traditional Moldovan food at affordable prices, and it's perfect if you want to try local classics. Of course, you have to order a placinta, a golden, flaky pastry filled with cheese, potatoes, cabbage, apples, or cherries. Another must-try is mamalaga, a creamy cornmeal dish similar to polenta, usually served with cheese, sour cream, and slow-cooked meat. Simple food, big portions, and exactly the kind of comfort meal you want after a full day of exploring. If you've got a bit more time in Chisinau, there are a couple more places worth adding to your itinerary. First is the Chisinau Zoo, the largest zoo in Moldova, and a great option if you're traveling with kids or if you simply enjoy seeing animals. It's home to around 150 species from all over the world, including lions, tigers, bears, wolves, zebras, camels, monkeys, kangaroos, flamingos, pelicans, and even some native European wildlife. The zoo is spacious, full of greenery, and makes for a relaxing couple of hours away from the busy city center. Another hidden gem is the Village Museum, an open-air museum that gives you a glimpse of traditional Moldovan village life. You'll find authentic wooden houses, farm buildings, old tools, and a beautiful traditional windmill, showing what life in the countryside looked like before modern times. It's not a huge museum, but it's a peaceful stop and a great way to learn a little more about Moldova's rural culture, which is still a big part of the country's identity. And just like that, our weekend in Moldova was coming to an end. We packed our backpacks, now full of souvenirs, wine, and memories, and said goodbye to Chisinau. We stayed at Weekend Boutique Hotel, a stylish place with a unique design and lots of little details that make it feel different from a typical chain hotel. The funniest detail? If you ever feel lonely, you can actually rent a golden fish as a little room companion. The hotel is also located right next to one of the biggest shopping malls in the city, which is super convenient for last-minute shopping. Then, We headed to the airport with our backpacks full of Moldovan goodies. Chisinau Airport is small, but honestly, that's a plus. No long walks, no stress, and everything is quick and easy. It was the perfect ending to our trip through a country that still feels authentic, relaxed, and far away from mass tourism.
We hope you liked our video. Thanks for watching. Leave us a comment so we can improve. Like, subscribe, and don't miss the next adventure.